A black man was just doing his job, but one call to the police almost cost him everything, until karma stepped in. The late morning sun sat high over Birmingham, Alabama, casting sharp shadows across the well-manicured lawns of Mayfair Park, a quiet, upper-middle-class neighborhood where the biggest disruptions were usually barking dogs or delivery trucks. Isaac Dunbar wiped the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand and leaned on his rake for a moment, taking in his progress. The yard belonged to Walter Grayson, an 81-year-old retired Marine who had lived in the same house for nearly 4 decades. The man took pride in his property, but after a knee surgery 2 months ago, he could not tend to it himself. That was where Isaac came in. For the past few years, he had built up a solid reputation in landscaping: hard work, fair prices, and no nonsense. His clients knew him by name, trusted him with their homes, and often referred him to their friends. Walter was one of his regulars. Today's job was straightforward: trim the hedges, clear out dead leaves, and refresh the flower beds. A good 4-hour job, maybe 5 if the humidity dragged him down. He liked working in neighborhoods like this: quiet, clean, predictable. But as he moved to bag up a pile of leaves, something in his peripheral vision caught his attention. Across the street, a woman stood on her porch, arms folded tightly across her chest. Isaac had seen her before. Not up close, never spoken to her, but he knew she lived in the 2-story colonial with the blue shutters. She was the type to keep her lawn perfectly edged, her garbage bins spotless, her porch decorations rotating with the seasons like clockwork. She had not been watching him at first. Her head had been buried in her phone. But now she was not just looking. She was staring. Isaac turned back to his work. He had been in situations like this before. People watching him, side-eyeing him as if he did not belong. It used to bother him when he first started his business, but now he just pushed through it. Still, something about the way she did not move made his muscles tighten. The rake scraped against the ground as he pulled together another pile of leaves, trying to shake off the feeling of being under surveillance. He was on the clock. He had work to do. But when he glanced up again, she was still there. This time she was pacing, phone in hand. That was the moment he knew this was about to go south. Isaac exhaled through his nose, forcing himself to stay calm. Do not assume, man. Maybe she is checking emails. Maybe she is waiting for a delivery. But then he saw the way her thumb hovered over the screen, how she lifted her phone slightly as if taking a picture. Yeah, he had seen this before. Isaac shook his head, muttering under his breath as he walked toward his truck. He grabbed his water bottle from the front seat and took a long sip, debating whether to acknowledge her or keep working. Most times, ignoring people like her was the best move. Engaging never ended well. But before he could decide, she turned sharply on her heel and walked inside. Isaac felt a flicker of relief. Maybe she had just been nosy. Maybe it was nothing. But less than 2 minutes later, she reappeared on the porch. This time she was on the phone, speaking fast, her expression sharp. His stomach sank. Isaac checked his watch. He had been there for less than an hour. Walter was inside, probably watching TV or dozing in his recliner. Everything about this job was normal, except her. He glanced at the quiet street, wondering if anyone else had noticed what was happening. The few cars parked along the curb were still, their owners probably at work. No witnesses, just him, her, and whatever she thought she saw. Then in the distance, the sound of sirens. Isaac's grip on the water bottle tightened. This was about to turn into something. He just did not know what yet, but he had a feeling it was not going to be good. Isaac's pulse ticked up as the distant wail of sirens grew louder. He set his water bottle down on the truck bed, exhaling slowly. Stay calm. You did not do anything wrong. But that did not always matter. He glanced back toward the house. Walter had not come outside, probably still napping. Maybe that was for the best. Across the street, Linda Carpenter, he finally put a name to the face, stood stiffly on her porch, still clutching her phone. She was not looking at him anymore. Instead, she had turned toward the road, anticipation tightening her features. Isaac had seen enough to recognize what was coming. He knew how this played out. First the call, then the assumptions, then the questions. But today it stung a little more than usual. He was tired of this game, tired of people like her. And then, blue and red lights flashed against the houses. A Birmingham Police Department cruiser pulled up fast, tires crunching against the pavement. A second squad car followed. Two officers stepped out, one white, one black, both already scanning the scene before they had even shut their doors. Linda walked down her porch steps like she was about to receive a delivery she had been waiting for. Isaac could hear the officer closest to her speaking, but the words were muffled over the hum of the idling engines. She gestured sharply in his direction. There it was. Isaac forced himself to breathe evenly as the officers turned toward him. Hands visible. Stay relaxed. Keep your voice steady. One of them, the white officer, badge reading Graham, spoke first as they approached. "You mind telling me what you were doing here?" His tone was not aggressive, but there was weight behind it. "A test." Isaac motioned toward the rake leaning against the tree. "Landscaping job, hired by the homeowner." Graham's partner, Officer Reed, glanced toward the house. He looked younger, maybe late 20s. He was not sizing Isaac up the same way Graham was, but his posture was still alert. Linda cut in, her voice firm. "He does not belong here." Isaac clenched his jaw. There it was, the words they always used. Graham nodded slightly, then turned back to Isaac. "Do you have identification?" He expected that. It always came next. Isaac reached for his back pocket slowly, moving deliberately. "It is in my truck. Mind if I grab it?" Both officers stiffened slightly at the movement. Isaac suppressed a sigh. "Go ahead," Graham said, eyes locked on him. Isaac moved to his truck, pulled out his wallet, and handed over his driver's license. Graham studied it for a second, then turned to Linda. "Mom, what exactly did you see?" Linda's lips pressed together, as if she were carefully choosing her words. "He was looking around too much," she finally said, "acting suspicious." Isaac let out a short, humorless laugh before he could stop himself. "Suspicious how? Because I am picking up leaves?" Linda stiffened. "There have been break-ins in this area before." Isaac shook his head. He knew this neighborhood. There had not been a single reported break-in in over a year. Before Graham could say anything else, the front door of Walter's house swung open. Walter stepped out, moving slowly but with purpose, his cane tapping against the porch as he took in the scene. Isaac saw the moment recognition flickered in Walter's eyes, shifting to disbelief. "What the hell is going on out here?" His voice was rough with age but carried the unmistakable weight of someone used to being listened to. Graham turned. "Sir, do you know this man?" Walter scowled. "Of course I do. I hired him. What is the problem?" Silence. Reed cleared his throat. "We got a call about a suspicious person." Walter's gaze snapped to Linda, then back to the officers. "You are telling me she called the police on my landscaper?" The tension in the air shifted. Linda took a step back, suddenly looking unsure of herself. "I was just looking out for the neighborhood," she muttered. "I did not know he was supposed to be here." Walter let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Lady, he has been working on my yard for 3 years." Isaac crossed his arms. "You could have just asked." Linda's face flushed, but she did not respond. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Officer Graham handed Isaac his license back. "You are free to go." Linda's mouth opened slightly, as if she wanted to object, but no words came out. Isaac tucked his identification into his pocket. "I was free the whole time." Walter let out a grunt, shaking his head. "This is ridiculous." But Linda still was not letting it go. "This is a safety issue," she insisted. "He looks like someone I saw on the neighborhood watch page." Isaac laughed again, but this time it was not forced. "I look like someone." He let that hang in the air, allowing the weight of the accusation to settle. Graham exhaled sharply. He looked tired. "Ma'am," he said finally, "do you have any reason to believe this man committed a crime?" Linda hesitated. "No," Walter interrupted. "She does not." Graham let out a slow breath, then turned back to Isaac. "Sorry for the trouble." Isaac just shook his head. Sorry did not mean much when this kept happening. But before anyone could move, a voice from across the street called out, "I got the whole thing on camera." Everyone turned. A woman stood on the sidewalk, phone raised, recording. Linda's face drained of color, and just like that, the situation had shifted again. Linda's lips parted slightly as if she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. The weight of the camera, the eyes on her, the realization that she was no longer controlling the situation. It was hitting her all at once. But Isaac knew better than to think she would back down. People like her, they never just walked away. You cannot just put me online, Linda snapped, her voice rising. That is harassment. The woman with the phone did not even flinch. Funny. That is what I would call what you just did to him. She tilted her head toward Isaac. Linda's fingers tightened around her phone. You do not understand. I was just being cautious. This is a high-value neighborhood. Walter let out a sharp laugh. Lady, we are not in Beverly Hills. Isaac almost smiled. Almost. But Linda was not giving up. She turned to Graham, her eyes now pleading. You need to do something about this. That video could ruin my reputation. Graham exhaled slowly. Isaac could tell he was debating how much longer he wanted to be part of this mess. Mom, unless you want to press charges for something, there is nothing I can do. Linda's nostrils flared. Press charges? Against who? For what? Walter smirked. For getting caught? Isaac stayed quiet. This was no longer his fight. She had made it clear who she was, and now she was dealing with the fallout. But Linda still did not see it that way. She turned her attention back to Isaac, jabbing a finger in his direction. You could have just said something when I was watching. You could have told me you were working here. Isaac finally spoke, his voice calm. I do not have to explain myself to you. Linda's mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, she did not have a response. She looked toward the officers again, grasping at anything. This is not fair. I am not a bad person. Isaac let out a breath. There it was. The whole situation had flipped, and now she was the victim. Walter rubbed his forehead, muttering something under his breath before looking back at her. You made a bad call. That is it. You could have just walked over and asked me, or knocked on my door. Or, here is an idea, minding your own damn business. Linda's face flushed. She shook her head quickly, as if she were trying to shake off the moment itself. I need to speak with your supervisor, she said, looking at the officers. This is not right. I need to file a report against that woman for recording me. Reed looked unimpressed. It is not illegal to record in public. But she is putting me online. The woman with the phone finally smiled. Oh, I am. And judging by the comments on my live stream, you are already famous. Linda's head snapped back to her. Live stream? The woman flipped her phone around, showing the screen. Thousands of viewers. Comments flooding in. Linda's face crumbled. She took a step back, glancing toward her house as if she wanted to disappear inside. As if she could simply walk away from all of this if she moved fast enough. But Walter was not done yet. He crossed his arms, his expression shifting. I do not like people calling the police on my friends. You could have gotten this man killed. Linda's head jerked up. Oh, come on, that is dramatic. Walter's eyes darkened. No, it is not. Silence. And then Linda did exactly what Isaac expected. She turned on her heel and walked away, straight up her porch, back through her front door. Isaac watched as the curtains twitched shut. Graham turned back to Isaac, letting out a slow breath. Sorry about the trouble. Isaac shrugged. Yes, you already said that. Graham had the decency to look uncomfortable before muttering something into his radio and heading back toward his squad car. Reed gave Isaac a small nod, an actual one, not the fake kind. Then he followed. The woman with the phone finally lowered it. Guess she was not ready for all that. Walter chuckled. They never are. Isaac shook his head, wiping sweat from his forehead. I need to get back to work. But before he could, Walter's next words stopped him cold. She is going to regret this. You will see. Isaac raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Walter just smirked, and that was when Isaac knew. This was not over yet. Isaac had been through situations like this before, too many times. He figured this one would die down after a few hours. Linda would stay in bed, stew in embarrassment for a while, perhaps rant to her friends in some private Facebook group. Then life would move on. But Walter's words stuck with him. She is going to regret this. You will see. Isaac did not think much about it until his phone buzzed. Then it buzzed again, and again. By the time he got home that evening, his inbox was full of messages, notifications, and missed calls. The video had exploded. 500,000 views in just a few hours. Isaac clicked the link and let the footage play. The woman who had recorded it had done more than just post a clip. She narrated the entire thing, breaking down exactly what had happened. Watch how she paces. She has already decided he is a threat before she even calls. Listen to what she says. She does not accuse him of anything specific, just looking suspicious. That is coded language. And then, boom, here come the police, ready to investigate a crime that never even happened. It was all there. Every uncomfortable pause, every excuse Linda had tried to throw out, the way her face had completely drained when she realized the whole thing was on video. Isaac scrolled through the comments. She really thought she could get away with this. Shake my head. How many times does this have to happen before people learn? I do not feel bad for her at all. Actions have consequences. Isaac shook his head, letting out a slow breath. This was bigger than he had expected. Then his phone buzzed again. A text from Walter. Walter, turn on the news. Any channel. Isaac's stomach tightened. He grabbed the remote and flipped to the local station. And there she was, Linda Carpenter. The headline below her picture read, "Woman calls 911 on landscaper, gets exposed online." They were discussing it as if it were national news. Linda had not given a statement yet, but reporters were already digging into her past. Turns out this was not the first time. Isaac leaned forward, eyes narrowing as the anchor spoke. Multiple residents in the Mayfair Park neighborhood have come forward, claiming Linda Carpenter has a history of making questionable 911 calls about black men in the area. A history. One man said she had accused him of casing houses while he was out walking his dog. Another said she had reported a delivery driver for acting suspiciously, simply for dropping off a package. And now, she had finally been caught in 4K. Isaac ran a hand over his face. No wonder Walter said she was going to regret this. Then just when he thought the night could not get any crazier, his phone buzzed again. A name popped up on the screen. A number he did not recognize, but the message was short. Unknown number? Linda wants to talk. Isaac stared at the screen. Oh, now she wanted to talk. He exhaled, debating whether he even wanted to respond. But before he could make a decision, another text came through. Walter, told you she would regret it. Isaac smirked. Yes, she definitely was. Isaac stared at the message again. Linda wants to talk. He was not surprised. Not after everything that had happened. She wanted to fix this, at least as much as she could. But why should he even entertain it? He set his phone down, exhaling slowly. If this had been a few years ago, he might have ignored it. Let her deal with the mess she created. But something about this felt different. It was not just that she got caught. It was that the world saw her. He picked up his phone again and typed out a response. Isaac. Talk about what? The reply came fast. Unknown number. Please, I just want to explain. Isaac's lips pressed together. Explain what? That she did not mean it? That she had been acting out of caution? That she had never done anything like this before? Except, of course, she had. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I did not know this would get so big. I am getting threats. My job found out. My kids will not talk to me. I cannot even leave my house. Isaac let out a short breath. There it was. She was not sorry for what she did. She was sorry for what happened to her. A part of him wanted to respond, wanted to ask the question that had been stuck in his mind all day. And what if the police had believed you? What if this had gone another way? But he did not. Instead, he sent something short, something simple. Isaac. Not my problem. Then he blocked the number. By the next morning, the fallout had reached another level. News outlets were picking up the story. Linda's employer, a corporate office downtown, had released a statement saying they were reviewing her conduct and assessing next steps. Translation? She was about to lose her job. Walter, ever the early riser, was already 3 cups of coffee deep when he called Isaac. Told you, was the first thing out of his mouth. Isaac shook his head. I was not expecting all this. Walter let out a dry chuckle. Actions. Consequences. Yes, but threats? Walter's voice shifted slightly. That part is not okay. Isaac sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. He did not want Linda's life ruined. He wanted her to understand. But would she? Would she actually learn anything from this? Or would she just see herself as a victim? Walter must have sensed his hesitation. You cannot control what people take from this kid. Some folks get it. Some never will. Isaac was about to respond when another notification lit up his screen. A legal filing. Walter noticed the pause. What is it? Isaac clicked the link and let out a low whistle. The homeowner is suing her. Walter actually laughed. About damn time. Isaac read further. Walter was not just angry about what happened. He was furious. He was not just filing a complaint. He was suing for harassment and defamation. Isaac shook his head. Man, she is really done for. Walter exhaled. She did it to herself. Isaac leaned back against the couch, staring at his phone. This was not just a bad day for Linda anymore. This was about to change her whole life. A week passed, then two. The world moved on, as it always did. But for Linda Carpenter, things did not go back to normal. She lost her job. Her name was permanently tied to the incident, flooding search results whenever anyone looked her up. Her neighbors distanced themselves. The ones who had once smiled at her in passing now avoided eye contact. Walter's lawsuit was moving forward, and there was no escaping it. Isaac did not feel bad for her, not really, but he also did not celebrate what happened to her. Instead, he reflected. This had been one of many moments in his life where someone had questioned why he was somewhere, why he existed in a space they thought he did not belong. But this time, she had to face real consequences. He sat on his back porch, phone in hand, staring at another message that had come through. Unknown number. I just wanted to say sorry. It was her. Again. Isaac sighed. Was it real, or was she just saying what she thought she needed to say? Maybe both. He typed out a response. Isaac. Sorry for what? The three dots appeared, then disappeared. She had no answer, because she did not know. He shook his head and deleted the message thread. Some people never learn. The next time Isaac pulled into Walter's driveway, he felt lighter. Walter was on the porch, a glass of iced tea in one hand, watching him step out of the truck. You sticking around this time? Walter asked, smirking. Isaac chuckled. Long enough to finish the job. Walter nodded approvingly. Good. Grass is not going to cut itself. Isaac grabbed his tools from the truck bed, glancing toward Linda's house. The porch was empty, curtains shut tight. For once, he could work in peace. Walter took a sip of his drink, watching him for a moment before speaking. Crazy world, huh? Isaac smirked. Yes, but at least this time, the right people paid the price. Stories like this happen all the time. Some go viral, some do not. But the problem remains the same. Who gets the benefit of the doubt and who does not? If this story made you think, share it. Talk about it. Keep the conversation going. Because accountability only happens when people stop looking the other way. Subscribe for more stories that need to be told.